Armenia as a refuge, who's seeking asylum? Article by Arshaluys Barseghyan, published on August 14, 2024 on EVN Report. Since 2022, Armenia has seen an unprecedented increase in the number of asylum seekers. With the rise in applications, the number of countries whose citizens seek asylum in Armenia has also increased. In 2015, asylum seekers came from 13 countries. By 2023, this number had grown to 36. According to United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees (UNHCR) data as of December 2023, Armenia hosted 150,725 forcibly displaced persons, including 145,166 refugees, 4,124 persons in a refugee-like situation, 635 asylum seekers, and 520 stateless persons, including over 100,000 forcibly displaced ethnic Armenians from Artsakh, who were forced to flee their homes following Azerbaijan's aggression. They have been granted temporary protection and recognized as refugees through a group determination process, eliminating the need for individual applications. Consequently, they are entitled to all the rights and benefits afforded to refugees under Armenian legislation. For years, Armenia received the most applications from citizens of Middle Eastern countries, including Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Egypt. Since 2022, following the Russia-Ukraine war, Ukraine has also been added to this list. The majority of asylum seekers from Ukraine are ethnic Armenians. According to Nelly Davtyan, Public Relations Officer of the Migration and Citizenship Service of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, a similar trend was observed following the outbreak of the Syrian war. Millions of Syrians had to flee their country, and the once 120,000-strong Armenian community, that now stands at 20,000, was no exception. Many from the community came to Armenia seeking safety and a future. Despite a visible spike in numbers directly following the outbreak of the conflict, the trend of asylum seekers from Syria has continued in subsequent years. Data from the Migration and Citizenship Service shows that Armenia received 579 asylum applications in 2012, recognizing 390 as refugees. In comparison, in 2011, these numbers were significantly lower, with only 73 people seeking asylum and 54 being recognized as refugees. At the onset of the war in Ukraine in 2022, Armenia received the highest number of requests for asylum since independence, 968 applications. The largest numbers were from Ukraine, 484, followed by Iraq, 198, Iran, 106, and Cuba, 49. Applications from Russia in 2022 were relatively low, only 19, though that number almost doubled to 32 applications in 2023. Despite a noticeable increase of Russian citizens in Armenia since the conflict began, this trend has not significantly impacted the number of asylum requests. However, today, it is not clear how many of those individuals who were granted asylum continue to reside in Armenia, as the country does not conduct ongoing monitoring of residency status. It is important to note that ethnic Armenians fleeing war and conflict or any form of persecution from other countries, and who hold Armenian passports, are not eligible to apply for asylum or refugee status. Basis for granting and denying asylum. The Migration and Citizenship Service does not disclose the most common reasons for seeking asylum in Armenia, stating that this information is not subject to publication. The reasons for denial are also unknown. The 1951 Geneva Convention on the Status of Refugees, ratified by Armenia in 1993, defines a refugee as someone who is unable or unwilling to return to their country of origin due to a well-founded fear of persecution for reasons of race, religion, nationality, membership of a particular social group, or political opinion. The law on refugees and asylum, which Armenia adopted in 2008, updates and regulates the asylum system and sets forth 5 reasons for being recognized as a refugee in Armenia: mass human rights violations, widespread violence, external attack, internal conflicts, and serious violations of public order. Since the end of 2023, several high-profile cases have emerged where foreign citizens, wanted in their home countries, were arrested in Armenia and subsequently sought asylum from Armenian authorities. From the beginning of the year until March, 3 Belarusians were arrested after crossing the Armenian border due to criminal cases against them in their home country. One of them was granted asylum and released on June 18th after being detained for 4 months. The other two remain in detention in Armenia, awaiting due procedure. According to the Vanadzor office of the Helsinki Civil Assembly, which oversees the protection of the Belarusian refugees' rights, the decision to grant asylum was based on credible evidence of political persecution. It was noted that the Belarusian authorities do not tolerate dissent. Shelter, the law, and reality. The review process for asylum applications takes 3 to 6 months. During this period, individuals can stay in temporary shelters for asylum seekers. The Migration Services Special Shelter Organization provides food and hygiene products. However, this shelter is designed for only 50 people. A new shelter is being constructed in the city of Abovian, designed to accommodate up to 120 people. Construction is expected to be completed by fall 2024. If asylum seekers can't be placed in the current center, they receive financial assistance, 20,000 AMD for the applicant and 15,000 AMD for each family member monthly. Migration Service spokesperson Nelly Davtyan says that with this amount, families of 3 to 4 people can find accommodation in the regions. Davtyan notes that a large number of asylum seekers do not apply to the state for shelter. They are mostly ethnic Armenians who have relatives and various social connections in our country, she says, adding that authorities do everything possible to ensure asylum seekers are not left without shelter. However, due to procedural gaps, there may be instances where an asylum seeker is left without accommodation for one night. According to Davtyan, the law on asylum and refugees stipulates that an asylum seeker must be provided with shelter after their application is accepted and not immediately upon their arrival. The service can only accept the application when they provide a translator in the appropriate language. It is not always possible to provide a translator immediately, and due to this, an asylum seeker may be left without state care for one night, explains Davtyan. However, the existing shelter has other issues besides limited space. The Human Rights Defenders (HRD) office has repeatedly addressed problems related to sanitation, food provision, and other documented issues. In its latest 2023 report, several issues were highlighted. The HRD has raised concerns about the financial assistance for those living outside the center, noting that it is insufficient to meet their needs. Another significant problem, according to the report, is the lack of free translation services during interviews at state bodies accepting asylum applications. While free translation during interviews is legally regulated at the Migration Service, such legislative regulation is absent for other institutions. Once recognized as a refugee and granted asylum, individuals are required to vacate the provided accommodation. Additionally, financial assistance, if previously received, is discontinued. In May, the Migration Service proposed to amend the law on asylum and refugees was accepted, allowing non-governmental organizations to exercise oversight over the temporary accommodation center for asylum seekers. Another issue is the detention of asylum seekers who are being persecuted in their own countries or for whom a request has been made for extradition. The HRD office noted problems with inadequate awareness among penitentiary staff regarding their obligations to register asylum seekers and direct them to appropriate state bodies. Furthermore, safeguarding the rights of detained foreigners to access health care and other services has also proved troublesome. There is also a significant legislative gap in the absence of a legal prohibition against the deportation or extradition of individuals seeking asylum in Armenia who might be facing the threat of the death penalty. This issue is noted in the report by the Helsinki Citizens Assembly Vanadzor office. The organization proposes excluding the extradition of asylum seekers based on requests from authoritarian, non-democratic states, or states that apply the death penalty as a form of punishment. Indeed, Article 55 of the Armenian Constitution says, "No one may be expelled or extradited to a foreign state if there is a real danger that the given person may be subjected to death penalty, torture, inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment in that country."